What is up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and today we're taking a look at the DC Collectibles DC Icons Atomica figure as she appeared in Forever Evil. I was not a huge fan of the Icons initially, but this figure here, this was in the batch of figures that the wonderful Kevin Kiniry sent to me. Kiniry, I think it is. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that. I showed him I had some busted figures that broke during reviews, and he sent me a box full of figures. This was part of them. I think I got 3 Icons figures all together. This one here, this was a character that I had been wanting to get simply because she is part of the Injustice Society, and when I got Johnny Quick, the DC supervillains, Johnny Quick, I think that's what he was called, he came with a miniature Atomica, and I had always wanted the regular size. And when I got this figure, I was kind of like, wow, this is pretty awesome, a figure I actually wanted. And then her accessories and such are even more so things that I wanted. So I'm gonna go over all the good, all the bad, my opinions, etc. And then hopefully at the end, we can come to some kind of conclusion on what, you know, this figure is all about. So here we go. All right, the sculpt and paint of this figure is immaculate. I was not initially, like I said, a fan of the Icons. I thought they were kind of annoying because they were small. But I did have a theory, and this figure kind of solidifies that theory. My theory was that the male figures that typically are a little bit larger wouldn't look so good in the Icon style. But the female figures, especially the ones that are on the smaller side and the teen characters, they would all benefit from this treatment. And as you can see, it's exactly that. So I think I'm going to be hunting down the female figures, many of the female figures in the Icons format, and the teenage figures I will be looking for as well. The paint, there's no slop, which is to be expected from DC Collectibles because that's the way they get down. The articulation, I'm going to get into it, but it's serviceable. You know what I mean? Nothing is going to blow you away, but it all works really well. With me on this figure, the materials, that's the big thing. You know, DC Collectibles is synonymous for figures being made of crappy materials, you know, figures falling apart, and, you know, you open a package and you pose one thing or you twist something and it just breaks. That wasn't the case here, and I'm happy about that. So, you know, I'm pretty blown away with this figure just on a base level. She is detail and, you know, all the parts working together for the benefit of the whole, the way that I like it when I collect my figures. And she's a much needed character. So props to DC Collectibles for this. Accessories. This is an area where this figure super shines. She doesn't come with a ton of accessories, but the accessories she does come with, they make all the sense in the world. Now that came from Johnny Quick. These are her accessories. She comes with a miniature Ray Palmer in mid-transformation as the Atom, and a miniature Ryan Choi, as well as extra hands. They're gripping hands. What the hell? Like, really? So not only does she come with enough for you to use her, and if you've been collecting other things, you know, they kind of could have just made her come with a miniature figure of herself. But for those of us who've been collecting, you have a miniature version of her. Now you have a full-size version of her, and then she turns around and comes with miniature versions of the other Atoms that existed. That, it works for me. Now for many people it may not, because you may not have an Atom figure, which if you don't, what's wrong with you? But Ryan Choi, like, she didn't even have to go into that detail, and I think he was the Atom during Forever Evil, because he was the New 52 Atom. But I'm impressed that they did this. It made me happy. And, you know, there's some issues with his sculpt. You can kind of see some anatomical things going on wrong on his arms. But overall, the sculpt is pretty well done. The paint is even better considering how small he is. I mean, look at the tampo on his belt. The DCUC version of Ray Palmer did not even have the detail that this guy has on his belt. Matter of fact, Ray Palmer's not even really wearing the Atom belt in the DCUC version. This version, he has the right belt. It even has like a beveled edge around the buckle, which is the little part with the dial where he would turn it to decide how big or how small he was going to grow. The DCUC version didn't even have that. So, you know, DC Collectibles, they're on a different level. You know, they show that extra bit of love and that extra bit of attention to their figures, you know, their characters, their representation of essentially their product. You know, these characters are DC Comics' product, and that's they show that extra love. Now the hands, the gripping hands. Here I have one fist and one gripping hand because that's what I have her posed with. But the little blue piece that's on the top of her hands, well done. The overall sculpting is not sloppy, and it looks like she can hold a number of things. Now this is the version of her that came with Johnny Quick. Now, if you were able to pick up that figure, you can see all the details present on this figure are present and in higher detail on the final. Now, this is the Ray Palmer figure without the effect. You can remove the effect. You can actually pull him up off the stand, but he does have pegs in his feet, so you can't stand him up on his own. But look at that. That's the Atom, and it looks great. And the same goes for Ryan Choi. All the paint detail, all the line work, like the lining, the edge work, I guess I should say. It's all so well done. It's ridiculous. It's like he's his own fully realized figure, and he is. And he actually looks Asian. What the fuck, you know? It's like they actually tried. This stuff gets me so excited that, you know, I have to express this. This is what it's all about. You know, give your fans things that work with what you know they collect. And I mean, look at the belt. I have to stress the belt because this isn't even the main figure. So, you know, they did a great job accessory-wise. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. The fact that they gave us these two figures along with the main figure, it's perfect. And the fact that they're smaller characters because they can shrink down, that's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Because, I mean, technically they should just give you several of those figures, smaller versions of the figure with the character. And I would love to see that too. But if you're not going to do that, this is a good delivery system for giving you, you know, accessories that you should have for your various characters. So once again, kudos to them for this. This made me very damn happy. Very happy. Okay, I wanted to start with Ryan Choi. He has articulation. This tiny ass figure with his backwards biceps has articulation. What? Are you kidding me? Yes. He has ball jointed arms and legs, and then he has a swivel at the neck. It could be a ball joint, but it only allows for, you know, swiveling, you know, looking left and right. That's amazing. I mean, that's a quality little figure right there, right? I think it is. Now, as for Atomica herself, you'd think the hair would kind of really, you know, stop her from doing stuff. She doesn't have any of the, you know, tilt, but she can move left and right. She can look up just a little bit, but not much. Her arms have all the motion that you need. Swivel at the bicep. She has enough range that she can move back, you know, her arms all the way back. She has double jointed knee or elbows and knees. She has a swivel at the wrist, swivel here, and she has a joint so that she can, you know, like move in and out. Let me see, her legs. The legs, it's a single joint at the hip. There's no swivel. She has her torso at the diaphragm. It's on a ball joint. And then you have the why did I just blank like that? The ab crunch. You have the diaphragm joint and the ab crunch, which is something specific to the Icons. Must have been a long week or something. I don't know. Her legs. She kind of has an anatomically correct swivel if you try to swivel the leg at the base of the joint. She has double jointed knees. She has a point, no shin swivel. There's no swivels going on in her legs, really. But she has the foot that points and it can move up a little bit, you know, like she's stepping on something, and she has the pivot. And she can do the splits really well. So one thing you won't have is you will not have her sprawling all over the place. if she was to fall, or if you try to pose her and it doesn't take, kind of the way you do with Legends and DCUCs and some Marvel Selects and some DC collectible figures. But she can do the splits all day, every day. She is just primed for posing. And, you know, this is one of the figures where, for some reason, the lack of swivels in the legs, they work for me. I don't have issues. I was playing with her, making her kick and jump, and it was real easy. It would be nice if she had it. It's kind of annoying that they just got rid of that, and they didn't even do like an anatomically correct thigh swivel. But, you know, I'll take this. It's not terrible, and it works for the sculpt. You know, the silhouette stays, you know, unified, and that's nice, you know. So if that's the trade-off, then I'm cool with it, you know? And now for the bottom line. I feel like this figure right here hit a lot of marks for me, because if you're collecting icons, you probably have collected DCUC and other DC collectibles figures. So this is kind of uniquely made for us in that way. If you are new to all of this, you're going to have to do some hunting to find things to complement this figure, because she's a very specific figure in a very specific world. You know what I mean? There's not a whole bunch of Atomica figures. If I'm not mistaken, this tiny one that came with Johnny Quick and this Icons figure are the only two. These are the things you got to ask yourself. If this is where you fall, you might have problems justifying having this in your collection, or hunting her down. You know, you might want to have some kind of representation of her shrunken down. You know what I mean? You need it, because display options will be limited, and you really have no example of what her power is. You know, if you just like the way she looks, then okay, more power to you. But if you need more, then you might have to do some investing. But the figure is cool enough that it makes you want to invest the time and figure out a little bit more. So I say, as simple as this figure is, you know, get her. They're not that expensive. They're all over the place. You know, you can find them on eBay for pretty cheap. You know, put in the time and the money. You will not regret it. It's a pretty dope figure, and there's really not that much else to say. It's well painted, well sculpted, and the articulation works for the figure. So get it. That simple. So this has been my look at the DC Icons Atomica by DC Collectibles. It's a pretty good, you know, A+ in my opinion. Pick it up. You won't be sorry. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. As always, thank you. You guys have been great. And that's it for me. Peace outside. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed what you saw, please give it a like, a share, let your friends know. Check me out on social media. All the links are in the description. And if you really want to help me out big time, jump on Patreon and support the channel. Every little bit helps, the smallest amount to the largest amount. And last but not least, check out my comic, War of the Gods. Issue 2 is on sale now on Indie Planet. And the links are in the description. It's some superhero fun. And as a smaller independent book, it needs all the views, all the eyes on it as possible. So check it out, show it to your friends. Every view helps greatly. And yeah, that's it for me. Thanks again.